So what I want to talk about this week is
Good dick.
sitcoms.
Because
Big Bang Theory, right?
Oh my gosh! So I actually
Laugh track.
have like a list. I went on IMDb and I looked at like the 100 like highest rated sitcoms, and I just pulled out like a list of like it's always Breaking Bad, always number one.
Breaking Bad, best documentary.
And so I pulled out like names that like are familiar to me, like maybe like not so much that I'm really into, but like names that like stood out to me as like pinnacle sitcoms that like I know like my dad watched.
So stuff like Cheers.
Yeah, exactly. So before I get into the list, like what are some of your guys' like favorite sitcoms? And just remember, like I was having this conversation with Alyssa last night about like I showed her the list and she's like, well, not all of those are like with the laugh tracks and like that sort of filming. Like, remember, not all sitcoms are like
horrible.
Cheers or Friends or that 70s show or anything.
Frasier.
Like, we'll get to Frasier.
Frasier can get to Frasier.
It's not all like, it's not like the sitcom, like the actual definition is a situational comedy. So it actually is expanded to like a lot of different.
In the middle.
The real question
is
when the transition year was for sitcoms, going from like pure laugh track sitcom to like
single set
to like I think the big transition was laugh track to fake documentary, like with The Office and stuff.
No, it actually we'll get into that. First, what I want to talk about, we'll get into the history of the sitcom and how it's like sort of developed through the years. But the first thing I want to talk about is like what are some of your guys' favorite sitcoms?
Well, Malcolm in the Middle is obviously like one of our favorite shows ever.
Yeah, that's something like even my dad, who actually like recently got into Malcolm in the Middle, that's a show that's just constantly playing. Like even if he's finished it, he'll like start over again. It's just something for him to have on the background.
I'll treat it as like good Simpsons, and I'll just have it playing while I do something.
Exactly.
While I play
Growing off that,
Pokemon.
Simpsons is a great sitcom.
Exactly. That's like one of the first like cartoon. I think that is the first cartoon like that's considered a sitcom.
Flintstones.
Yeah, that is true because that actually was like
the
sort of like the Jeffersons as well.
That wasn't a cartoon. Oh, the Jetsons.
Jetsons. What did I say? The Jeffersons.
I knew what you were talking about, though.
And I was just
on the same level of wrong.
I was like, the Jeffersons wasn't a cartoon.
Same level of idiot.
Turns out I'm talking about a completely different, like live action, like
you are
African American family.
That's exactly what you're talking about. And I was just gonna go. They're not cartoons, Ricky. They're just black.
Oh my god, I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, I think like Simpsons was like one of the first ones in like the modern times that it's like considered like a really good like cartoon sitcom.
And then everything like spun off of that, and that's where like Simpsons begat Family Guy begat Brickleberry begat shit.
But yeah, like, it went like Simpsons and then like and then King of the Hill and then Futurama and Family Guy.
Does home videos count?
No.
Home movies?
Or home movies? I'm saying everything fucking wrong today. Home videos.
Adult Swim is its own tier almost.
Yeah, like that's its own category of television.
Yeah.
Like even like I don't know if I would consider Rick and Morty a sitcom. Like it is, but it's still like
it's more about
so off though.
Like, it's so just.
My favorite sitcom is Squidbillies.
I think the one like sitcom I think that'll always it's timeless is Seinfeld. Like how like just crazy like because that show is literally about nothing.
Yeah,
and like people who are like in their like growing up and going into their 20s and all of that stuff and learning to live by themselves like are going to relate to that shit.
Yeah,
and it's constantly just funny without like trying too hard. And that's like
Frasier.
the problem like Friends has is like I feel like it's a lot of like there are really great moments with like Joey and Chandler being like the one that
none with Ross.
Nothing with Ross. Like we said in our worst fan base video, you like Ross, you're a terrible person, and I cannot trust you.
If you can sympathize with Ross.
If you can sympathize with Ross,
well, that's
you're
your
wrong.
loss.
You can laugh at him being a dumbass, but if you're siding with him, you're stupid. You're the Ross.
We were on a break.
It's like watching early Family Guy. Like you don't sympathize with Peter, you just think he's an idiot.
Yeah,
exactly. And That's like the one, like Alyssa really loves Friends because she's a little older than myself, so she sort of remembers the 90s a
She's
little more.
older
That
than
also
me,
has to
so
do
she
with,
grew
like-
up with the honeymooners.
That also has to do with like if your parents if your parents watched it or not. Like my parents were really into Friends.
My mom was really into Friends as well, and I liked it when I was a kid, but it wasn't like one of those things where I'd actually sit down and watch it with her.
My parents hated Friends.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let you watch it. Like they banned it from the house.
We only watch Malcolm in the Middle. This has a They Might Be Giants song. This is what we watch.
What's another one?
I think the one that you and I share love with a little bit.
Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons. Like you like the one side show that this show has, but I'm not as into it. But the base show, My Name Is Earl, is so fucking.
Yes.
What was the spin-off?
Jason.
Yes,
Raising Hope is like
that's-
in the same
like that
universe. I couldn't get as into it. The first season was like
You were more into the spin-off show, but I just think the main show is great. Breaking Bad.
That's what I was thinking of when you said it. I'm like, that's not a sitcom in my head. I'm like, I don't know.
It's hilarious.
So Raising Hope is just kind of like the Force Awakens for the Star Wars series.
What?
The whole basis of it.
what?
The whole basis of it is like reminiscing and like you remember this guy from the show, and you get what I mean. It's all about what that show used to be and reminiscing
the son
about the
kills
old
the
show.
Okay.
What? That made sense.
Andy Serkis does some mocap.
Snoke.
It's just like the whole show isn't like even its own show. It's just reminiscing on My Name Is Earl and
Nostalgia
Your
factor.
fucking ring, dude.
what that used to be and stuff.
Nostalgia
But
factor.
I think My Name Is Earl is the stronger
It's
show.
just such obviously because Raising Hope it takes a lot from the nostalgia factor, and it can't hold up on its own without My Name Is Earl. But My Name Is Earl stands on its own, and it's one of those sad shows where it ends on a fucking to be continued. Like one of the many shows that got canceled with that, and it's so upsetting.
I just love how you got us, Seven and my mom, into.
We talk about My Name Is Earl so much that we got our tech guy and Henry's mom into My Name Is
this?
Greg Miller does this shit too. Where he's like they're sneezing or coughing or whatever. And
Here's
it's
the question: Does Arrested Development count as a sitcom?
oh fuck
Yeah.
And that's the best sitcom.
But Seinfeld, that's the thing is
The last season, though.
Seinfeld or Arrested Development, because Seinfeld, a lot of people don't like the last season of Seinfeld. I think it's actually pretty great, and a lot of people hate the last episode of Seinfeld. I can understand that, but the entire last season of the Arrested Development has this really bad taste with the rest of the show. But if you just count the first 3 seasons, it's fucking genius.
The other thing is Seinfeld is so engraved as a part of your life because of how long it's been a show and how old it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's also a big factor.
But the thing is with the Arrested Development, the last season, it was all of these jokes that weren't funny at first, and you'd have to. There's some music. There's some music going on outside. It's always something going on outside. It's either construction or fucking music.
Someday we're gonna open that up, and there's just gonna be.
It's going to be Alex O'Neill from Irrational Passionals.
Some dude hanging out at the patio next door.
He's dancing to "You Make My Dreams."
Dude, Alex O'Neill is now famous for saying Beta Zona Gamers wrong all the time because fucking Sean was talking about it on the recent Nerds at the Round Table where he's on their website he spelled Beta Zona Gamers as Bay, BAE, duh, Zona Gamers, and
I like how we're slowly just wedging ourselves into this syndicate of
other podcasts and stuff that actually know people in the industry and stuff, and we're just hey, we're at the party too.
Hello.
What's your name? What's your name? I know a John in there because there's always a John that you know in the party.
Yeah.
There's a John in there. I know. I'm go get him. Okay.
Go get John. Go get John.
Seriously, what's your name?
But
Sean Pitts.
I know people.
we just have a mask of Sean.
I know people. Do you know Obama?
Yes, we do. Alex O'Neill has an
Go get
affair
Obama.
with him. So what the fuck were we talking about?
Sitcoms. To get off the sidebar.
So the problem with Arrested Development was there were jokes that weren't funny at first, But then if you kept watching it and like they called back to it, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, ha ha ha.
Goes
But like
full
the
circle.
original, yeah, they did the whole full circle thing like the rest of the show did.
Yeah.
But the great thing about the first 3 seasons is like when the joke is originally said, it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
And then they'll do like small callbacks to them, and you're like, that's fucking awesome.
My favorite thing was always whenever there was an episode where it felt like they had a joke that they wanted to do and wrote the entire episode around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Gilligan killed the stripper.
Now,
They write episodes like people do stand up. They always try to bring it back at the
yeah,
end.
exactly. And that's
Gilligan
just
set
why
us all up with an IRA account. It's Ira.
it's Ira.
Oh, my apologies. Gilligan set us all up with an IRA account.
But so we're talking about sitcoms that we love. What are some of the sitcoms that we can't fucking stand?
How I Met Your Mother.
Let's say.
I know I'm among friends when that is said. I don't fucking understand the 2 shows, the 2 big ones, How I Met Your Mother and fucking Big Bang Theory.
Well, I feel
don't-
like everyone hates Big Bang Theory at this point.
No, it's so fucking weird how many people love that show.
I know people that
parents
fucking
watch
love
it.
that.
Yeah,
show.
like my mom and my sister watch it, and it's like
my mom watches the shit out of that.
like I know so many people who fucking love that show.
I used to watch it all the time with my mom until we just looked at each other one day and was like, this isn't funny.
And it's all people who aren't fucking nerdy. It's
Yeah.
all people who aren't really into movies or comics or anything.
It's everybody.
They watch it so they can feel like they're included on the shit, and that's what that show is.
It's
like
because that show's marketed to people that are into the shit that we're into, and it's wrong. because
yeah, but
it's being
the whole
marketed.
show is like, hey, you know, nerds and shit that you can't relate to. Well, you know, let's laugh at them because they're weird and like
And then
outlandish
let's laugh
and
at
shit.
this woman because sexism in America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I fucking don't like that actress because she's like, you know, sexism isn't a thing. Have you seen your fucking character on the show?
Yeah.
Have you seen that shit?
Yeah. It's
You
really
mean the
weird.
neighborhood bicycle of Big Bang Theory?
And then How I Met Your Mother is one of those things. Like there are a couple episodes. Like
That are
generally,
all right.
there's like down to its core, I don't hate it. Like I hate Big Bang Theory. Like I have a pure fucking hatred for that show. But How I Met Your Mother is the thing. Is like it's not consistently funny. Like there are some standout episodes. Like there's the one where like someone's training to do like a triathlon or something, and Barney's like, "Why do you got to train? You just fucking run." And so he just like doesn't train at all, and he like just runs the whole thing, and he wins.
That's the thing, that like the only really good part about it is
Neil
Barney.
Patrick
Because
Harris.
it's
Because
Neil
he's
Patrick
great.
Harris, and you
Yeah.
have that like respect for him as a person.
Exactly.
Here's my problem with How I Met Your Mother. To me, it always comes off as knowingly funny, where it's like it's laughing at itself because it's like, oh, we're so clever and smart. And that's the kind of comedy I can't stand.
Yeah.
When it's like the joke that knows it's a joke. And that's why I love King of the Hill. Because all the jokes there come naturally from the characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like nothing there ever comes off as like, oh, Hank Hill thinks this is funny.
Yeah, he's
Or-
like authentically like
He's
concerned
genuinely
about like
into
how
it.
weak George Bush's like handshake is and all
Yeah.
of this stuff. It's like,
Or like whenever Peggy mispronounces Spanish words.
yeah, exactly.
It's always funny because Peggy Hill would do that.
And
Yeah.
the thing that makes a great sitcom,
Guacamole.
the thing that makes a great sitcom is when the comedy comes from strong characters.
Yeah.
Like How I Met Your Mother, there aren't really that many, for the exception of Barney, just because he's played by Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
They're all sort of just throwaway characters, and that's sort of the same thing with Big Bang Theory. It's like they're all sort of the same character in a way, and
Yeah,
it's
except
like
this one's Jewish and this one's Indian.
exactly, and like that's the really only
They're all
difference, and that's why I want to get more into Silicon Valley. Is because
Oh,
all of
yeah.
the like I got into the first season. I
Seven
really
loves that show.
like the first season was great, and I haven't caught up with the second season and all. But that was the thing, is like Silicon Valley is sort of similar in that way of like, yeah, here's all these nerds, and like they're all different in their own thing, because one of them's Jewish and one of them's just white, and then you know one's Indian and all that stuff. But it's not like they're not basing like the jokes and stuff off of that. Like they're actually building up characters, and it's funny because of like how like terrible some of them are. Like TJ Miller. Shout out to TJ Miller because he's the fucking man.
Yeah.
Like he is just what his character is and like how he naturally thinks is just fucking hilarious.
He's a
And
very
go back-
underestimated comedian.
And going back, who writes that show? Mike Judge.
Exactly.
Mike Judge gets it, which is why I hate that he's like a weird libertarian conservative who thinks Alex Jones is smart.
And then like you have Arrested Development, which I don't think you could have a better set of characters
Yeah.
because sitcoms are funny when you have at the core, like sitcoms are mainly about Can you guys see this? There's like a muscle moving right here. Do you see that?
Yeah,
It's really weird.
Personally, I'm focused
that happens
more
to
on
me
the
all the
fact
time.
that the opening scene from Finding Nemo's going on outside.
Anyway, like Arrested Development is so great because all of those characters are so fucking terrible. Like they're all just terrible people, and they're trying to be as good as possible. And that's what makes a great sitcom is when you have the worst people on the planet, like, and put them in a show, and they're trying to be good people and stuff. And that's what Seinfeld is. They're all just fucking awful people.
The thing that makes Arrested Development work is that, like, you always see lists online where it's like, who's the best character on Friends, or who's the best character on
Bingo.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
On the dot.
You can't pick a best character in Arrested Development because none of them would work if anyone else was out of place.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's why season 4 felt so split up because there was like only one scene where all of them were in the like same room together,
Yeah, there was
and so that show is like what's it called? It's
Shimmy?
It's a shimmer, y'all, shimmer, gay, shimmer. It's
we
like
give him the mic?
So he can take it away.
It's all about the group, and you can't just have it on one person. So, but yeah, when you have shows like Friends and Everybody Loves Raymond, like you could take anybody out, and it's like whatever.
That's what I like for that same reason that all the characters are terrible and stuff like that is the same reason why I liked Grounded for Life. Did you ever watch that show?
I didn't.
It was a pretty funny show for a while. Then it got like horrible as like that 70s show did for a little bit. But it was the same thing. It was about like this horrible dysfunctional family where they're like horrible people to each other, and like they'll have scenes where they're like two of them will go like on a trip or one of them will go away, and they'll have scenes of like their adventure or whatever. And those scenes are boring, but then we'll go back to the house with everybody else, and it's just like, oh, it's funny again.
Funny thing about sitcoms always needing terrible characters, it's funny because when they started being terrible was the exact moment Modern Family lost me. Because I have like, I forget exactly what season it was after. I'm going to say like the 3rd season.
Yeah.
Modern Family wasn't funny anymore because they weren't a family anymore. They were just angry and bitter at each other. And that, especially Cam and Mitch.
That's the thing.
They were the worst.
Modern Family is like a different breed of sitcom. It's not like in the same.
When I looked at the IMDb list, Modern Family was rated number 1, which was the weirdest thing to me.
Yeah, it's like a different breed. It's not about typical I almost said stand-up, typical sitcom stuff like that, like characters all being terrible. It doesn't always have to rely on that. Modern Family does their version of it where it's kind of more of, I get like, what channel is it on? Like it's kind of like The Office where like there are certain likable characters, and it works. They do it right. They had very good writers for the first 3 seasons, and that's why it worked. Something changed
like after that 3rd season.
After that, something must have
I'm scared
changed
because we're on the 3rd season right now.
See, it's like now the only characters I can stand watching is I still love Jay's entire family because they're all great. They work well off each other. I fucking love Manny.
Yeah.
He's the best. And then I love, what's the dad's name?
Phil.
I love Phil because Ty Burrell's great.
Ty Burrell's the fucking best.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing to me about Modern Family is just watching all the kids grow up and realizing, oh, these kids are terrible actors.
Yeah.
Especially Lily. Lily is awful as an actor.
That's the thing that I was going to
kid.
get to.
She's like 10.
That's the thing that I was going to...
All actors at 10 are fucking
Haley
awful.
Joel Osment.
All actors at 10 are fucking awful.
That's the thing that I was going to get at. Not because they're terrible actors, but because the kids start growing up.
Exactly.
They get limited.
And because like when they're in the 3rd season now, and they're fucking ridiculous because they're kids and they like don't care. Like,
what's the boy's name? Neil?
Luke.
Luke.
There you go.
Luke started out cute and now he just looks weird.
Yeah, now he's like this hipster prick and shit, and it's like
Luke was hella funny.
Yeah, because he was like this weird kid who would like jump on a fucking trampoline with a box on his head, like
and
naked.
it was great because Phil was the exact same way.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and like you see him grow up, and he doesn't grow up the same. And it's like, I don't really care because it's not the same character anymore.
Yeah.
Also, Alex getting weirdly big boobs.
He keeps
they
mentioning
hide
that.
They hide him well, apparently. But she talks about that.
About it.
Stop talking about it. It's weird. Anyway, before we wrap up on this topic, I just want to go through the history of sitcoms. Just like do some shout outs of things that we haven't really talked about.
First step, man sits down, tells a joke.
So in the 70s, the big 2 ones we have, the first one obviously being MASH.
Mm-hmm.
MASH was great.
Yeah.
I've only watched actually a few episodes of MASH. I haven't gotten through the whole thing because my grandpa's really into it,
it's
and my
longer than the
dad.
Korean War.
I used to be babysat by the two oldest people in the world, and the guy always watched TV Land, and of course MASH was played most of the day. So he'd make me sit there and watch MASH with him. I hate MASH.
And then we got Three's Company starting in '77. I have a lot of sitcoms that I like remember watching when I was like 10 because I'd be like at my grandparents a lot or something that I actually really enjoyed. And Three's
Ricky's
Company,
babysitters were making you watch TV Land.
and Three's Company, I remember being one that I like. And then we get into the '80s. We've got starting in *82, we've got Cheers.
Yeah,
Great.
Cheers.
I actually started like
Cheers is fun.
rewatching that for the first time since like I was like 5 or something when I was in Cleveland with my dad. I was like, this still like holds up because it's not about like sitcoms will be always be timeless when they're not specifically geared around the time that it's being filmed in, and that's why I like Cheers holds up. Seinfeld, there are parts where it's a little too '90s,
a little bit '90s,
but
Early Simpsons,
Arrested Development.
well, Simpsons is like so like pop based.
Yeah, and then
it's like some weird
Malcolm in the Middle
TV shows.
in a sense as well, because you're always going to have that suburban field of
that
like
just makes me
relatable.
think of that time period.
And then after Cheers, you've got The Cosby Show, '84.
now that's incredible.
I wanted to bring it up because
It's
of
so funny to hear that now.
Like, remember when you had a show and like people liked him and shit? That's weird.
Remember when he was just about to get a new show?
Remember when he was just about pudding and ugly sweaters and not, horrible shit?
And then we get to one of the great ones, the Golden Girls from the
Hell yeah! B. Arthur is God.
Bruh, Betty White proves immortality is real, unlike Abe Vigoda.
and then you got like Roseanne, '88. Roseanne was okay.
I know a couple people that were into Roseanne.
Like,
it was like
really into Roseanne, and they're always the
hella
weird
into-
one.
Like they were into like
They're always the
anything-
weird aunt.
Like they loved Roseanne and like Home Improvement, and you're just like,
We'll get to Home Improvement in a second. And then you got Seinfeld in '89 and Simpsons in '89, and then we get to the '90s. 1990, Fresh Prince. I think one of the best.
Fresh Prince held up.
Yeah, and they're like, and that's one of the smart ones of like. It had like, it was mainly like that sitcom-y sort of like tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, but also had like touching moments. Like the one video that always goes around Facebook all the fucking time is the one where he's talking about his dad.
Yeah.
And that's like, people fucking talk, people on Tumblr try to make it like he was actually talking about his dad in real life.
It wasn't scripted.
It wasn't scripted and all this stuff. Like he's talking about it like his real life experience.
And he's just
Will
crying.
Smith grew up with his fucking dad, dude.
You're all racist.
You're all fucking like assuming just because he's black, he didn't grow up with his fucking dad.
Will Smith
Shut the fuck up, Tumblr.
Will Smith talks about his dad as being one of like his biggest inspirations
Exactly.
too, right?
It's like-
So it's like
He's such a big inspiration. Chicago wrote a song about it.
Home Improvement, 91. Home Improvement I thought was always awful. Even when I was a kid, I was like, what the fuck is this show?
What's his name?
Never wasn't too into it.
Fuck.
the name
He
of it?
voices Buzz Lightyear.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
there you
I
go.
want to sock him in the face. I just want to like rings on and everything, just pop him.
I feel like his character
Santa
in
Claus?
Galaxy
Yeah.
Quest is actually how he acts in like real life. I feel like
Yeah.
that's
I'll
Come on,
punch the
Galaxy
shit out
Quest
of
is the
Santa
best
Claus.
movie ever.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy
We watched that the day
That's purely
Alan
because
Rickman died.
Alan Rickman.
Shout out to Space Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
And because of Dwight.
The first time we can do this, and he's like, "Yeah, we forgot that Dwight was in that movie."
It's like the two weirdest people that are in that group. It's like Dwight and Glenn from The Ringer with Johnny Knoxville.
And then you got shows like The Nanny in '93.
Oh,
I fucking hated that
God.
show. It would be one of those late night shows that I would watch if nothing else was on.
We're not talking about the George Lopez show. Please don't. Please don't talk about that one.
The low right.
You have to grow up with people quoting that.
And you got Boy Meets World
Yeah.
'93, Frasier also in '93. You have a distinct hatred for Frasier.
So there was two shows that
Someone
my
doesn't like Sideshow Bob.
there was two sitcoms that my dad always watched, and it was Frasier and Wings.
But Frasier sucks because it's like, okay, let's make a spin-off show of Cheers of the boringest character from that fucking show. And it's like, who cares?
I felt insulted.
Who cares?
I did like the guy who played his dad though. He did a lot of good voice work.
Yeah.
in the late night.
You didn't mention a couple horrible ones like Saved by the Bell and like
Oh, come on. Same by the
I
Bell.
fucking skipped
or
over
like
some of
Full
those.
House.
Yeah, I skipped over
Come on, Full House is the best.
Then you got Friends in 94, which I think is like sort of the pinnacle of 90s sitcom, I would say. Just because of like purely just 90s. You know? And then you got the Drew Carey Show, 95.
He ain't dead either.
Cleveland fucking rocks, man. That was one of our topics last week is does Cleveland rock? And I can say it does. Not really, though. And then you got shit shows like Everybody Loves Raymond in 96. I did not like that show at all. This is one of those shows like everybody thought was fucking hilarious. I was like, what is the humor here? What is funny? I don't get it.
It's like normal family situations, and then the giant ass brother comes in and says something like just
because he's like a cynic, and he's like, he's a cynic.
Oh, then the dad
It's the same people that watch
crap.
Cougar Town.
You mean Geniuses?
Then you got King of the Hill in 97, and then
The
you
only
got
good show ever.
and then King of Queens in 98 with Kevin James.
No, you know
that
what?
show should have never happened.
Is that the one
you're
where
probably
Patton
thinking of this
Oswalt was in it?
Yeah.
And there's just one. There's one episode of King of Queens where, like, for a whole 7 minutes, Patton Oswalt doesn't move, doesn't say anything. He's just always facing straight ahead. And even when you see in other rooms, he's still facing straight ahead to that camera. It's the best thing ever.
I know you're probably going to mention it, but this was like a big one. Like you and me, like binged watched this a couple times. Scrubs.
Oh, yes. We'll get to there.
Yeah.
We'll get to there. Just wrapping up the 90s. We got that 70s show in 98.
Wrapping up the night.
But it's that
awesome.
70s.
That's the show that I can fucking have on.
I was
like,
just
constantly.
rewatching that.
God, except the last season.
When
You skip the entire last season until you get to the last episode. Because the last episode is just pure fan fucking pleasure.
When Hyde's getting the job for the first time and he's getting interviewed. Yeah, maybe someday you'll work for me. Oh man, really?
Really?
Oh
That'd
man,
be awesome.
But can I have Saturdays off? Sure, man. Oh, okay, bye, man. See you later,
Who's
man.
that character that took
Eric's place.
Eric's place?
That guy fucking sucked.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is they had an original guy. The season, the last episode with Eric, they had another replacement guy that came in who's all innocent and stuff like Eric, and he actually worked with the show.
Didn't they kill him off?
They killed him off because he got accepted for another show and he decided to go to that one. And then they brought in this fucking Tool guy who's the pinnacle of Eagles fans.
Wasn't it Seth Meyers?
They brought in
too?
this Tool guy. It's just Tim Allen from Home Improvement.
Oh fuck, was that Seth Meyers?
Yeah. I don't
What
really like
the
Seth Meyers
fuck?
that much. Yeah, that was Seth Meyers.
I'm putting that together.
Yeah. The guy who replaced Eric for the last
you know what
season was
sitcom
Seth
we,
Meyers. I don't like him.
That's so fucking weird. I like Seth Meyers
That
on the Late
hella
Late Show.
was.
It's all right.
That hella was.
Holy
I was too used to Jimmy Fallon.
fuck.
You picked a good guest this week.
That's why I like him.
Yeah.
This is one of the very few people at Vans that I was
forget
like, yeah.
Did we forget Freaks and Geeks, or is that coming later?
Freaks and Geeks was 2000.
That was a big one for
Yeah, but before Family Guy 99, Futurama 99, I just want to. So in 2000, you've got Freaks and Geeks and you got Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
2000 started strong
Yeah.
with those two shows. Sadly,
I think
Freaks
Malcolm
and
in the
Geeks.
Middle is my favorite one.
Yeah.
period.
It's
so
That's
good.
the best one.
And then you got
and Geeks.
Scrubs in 2001.
Yes.
And that's another good show where it's mainly silly, but then you get those fucking touching moments. Like the the real last season of Scrubs, where they don't bring in fucking bullshit Dave Franco and shit.
Yeah, where
the
Jake
real
leaves,
last
right?
where he leaves and he's walking down that hallway with all the memories. Watch that entire show and then watch that episode and try not crying your fucking eyes out.
Are you just hearing Overkill in your head like I am right now?
And then you got the real pinnacle of 2000 sitcoms, George Lopez, 2002.
I just think of the goddamn opening.
I'm sorry, but that was actually a show that played a lot in my house.
That show was always played at my house as well.
Funny
and
thing.
I wanted
If I
to
can
cut
tell-
myself every
If
time.
I can tell a story, once.
He didn't wait for an answer. It's like, if I can tell a story.
So, the last time I think I was over in Pennsylvania and I stayed at my grandma's house,
Yeah.
my cousin loved the George Lopez show, and so we'd have it on, and then he was going to my dad, "Can we watch the George Lopez show?" My dad just goes, "No, we're gonna watch something good."
And then here's the weird thing. Here's something to think about for your brain right
Just
here.
think about
in
it.
2003, these two shows came out in the same year: Arrested Development and 2.5 Men.
I don't like
What?
this.
What? Like those came out in the same
fucking
year?
weird.
Yeah, I thought that was later.
Two and a
Yeah,
Half Men's a piece of shit.
That's
Yeah.
not it. And that was high up on that IMDb list. I was like, what?
Two
Fuck
and a
this
Half
list.
Men's a piece of shit starring a piece of shit.
You have to remember, there's a lot
It's
more
2.5
stupid
pieces
people.
of shit.
And then you get the one in 2004. You get the one really good kid sitcom that I had to put on here.
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh.
Fuck
Yeah.
Josh.
That show is so fucking good, and it's so sad because it never got a proper send off. There's no like actual finale. Like
It just
it's-
kind of faded into iCarly, and then that
Exactly.
faded into Sam and Cat, and that faded
It got a
into
weird movie for a
Victorious.
send off.
like it never got a proper send off because like they stopped doing like episodes regularly, and then it
Yeah.
just became like
What?
specials, and then they
There's only
stopped
one of
doing them.
Yeah, the specials were
Is in that,
weird.
like,
Yeah,
universe.
I remember
It's
the
just
one
while
like
they have, like, the
Hollywood
same
one
drinks.
where she like goes on the wrong flight.
Oh yeah,
That was like the last one
You
I
know
remember
what my
watching.
favorite thing about all those Nickelodeon sitcoms is?
What?
The guy who writes them all has the biggest foot fetish,
Gross.
and
Yeah.
it's
I never took to
hysterical.
notice.
It's
'Cause
Daniel.
This one time he tweeted out like, "Send me pictures of your feet
No,
for
gross.
Nickelodeon."
Oh.
And it's
Wow.
just Josh Peck going, sure. Because I can
Are
hella
we
see him
gonna
doing
not
that.
talk about? We're not going to talk about how we all loved our iCarly, even though none of us will admit
I was just
it.
going to say that, like,
The brother
iCarly
from
was hella funny.
iCarly made that
Spencer was
show.
all right.
Crazy Steve's the shit.
Yeah.
You
Crazy
know, like,
Steve's
that
great.
actor, like,
He's
always
fucking
funny.
awesome. And
Are
so
we
like
going
even
to-
my dad was like, iCarly's fucking hilarious because of that
Yeah.
guy.
And are we not going to admit we all kind of like Ned's Declassified?
I love this.
Oh, yeah, that
I,
show was
I,
great.
I genuinely liked it.
Like I went back to it. It does not age well, but
No, no.
Not like Drake and
during-
Josh.
not
Fucking
like Drake and
weird.
Josh Still's whole like, spherical. But yeah, I tried going back to Ned's Declassified. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Good memories, though.
that age.
That's 2004.
And then in 2005, you got like a lot of big ones. You got Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Think
shit.
about that. They came out.
2005?
They're
Yeah,
on their
it-
11th
it's old.
season, and then Everybody Hates Chris. How I Met Your Mother.
Wait,
Yeah.
Everybody
The
Hates
Office.
Chris was 2005?
Yeah, I thought that was earlier.
Yeah, I thought that feels like it was a long ass time
Yeah,
ago.
so Always Sunny, Everybody Hates Chris, How I Met Your Mother, The Office, and My Name Is Earl, all in 2005.
We're talking about
2005
US
was
Office,
apparently
right?
the shit.
That was-
U.S. Office, yeah. And Office, another great one where it's
When
like
did,
really funny and then also really touching as well.
When did UK Office come out?
I
Was
don't know,
that-
like 2 years before.
I think
Only
that was
2
like
years before?
2002
I
or
wanna say
something. It got
2002 or
canceled
3.
fast or
Well,
something.
yeah, it only ran for 2 seasons
Yeah.
because all of Ricky Gervais's best shows only last for 2 seasons. That and extras.
Did you say
Exactly.
Parks and Rec?
No,
Parks and Rec
we're not.
later,
Yeah, we're not
okay.
even close to Parks and Rec
Oh,
yet. So,
shit.
and then 2006, you got 30 Rock,
Oh,
which is, I think
yeah.
is another great
Yeah.
Oh,
one.
that's a great one.
And then
30 Rock
2009,
rules.
you got there's no 07 or 08. Skip to 09. You got Modern Family, Parks and Rec, and The League. Now, do you guys watch The League at all?
You know I watched The League.
I know you two love the league.
It's basically Always Sunny, but they're just sort of into football. But they're all just in a fantasy league together, but it's never really about the football. They're all just terrible people. And here's a quote: "You are now welcome into the Jew Forts." Like that's just a quote from the fucking show.
and by a
it's-
little girl.
Like a little girl is
said
saying that. And then
I need no more context. I will watch.
Speaking of
I think
the-
it's on Netflix.
Speaking of The League, I just finished a sitcom, a whole show in 2 days because it only has 3 seasons and each season is 6 episodes. It's this British show called The In-Betweeners. And it's
I
like
heard about that
it's
one.
like
That
The
was
League-
also on the list.
It's like The League and Always Sunny, but British. and
tell
with
you-
teenagers trying to get
Can I
pussy.
tell you about this sitcom I found that's hysterical and also,
Spherical?
you know, so you know how like The Office, everyone is always like, oh, it's the pinnacle of cringe comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret with David Cross,
Ooh.
that's cringe comedy.
Yeah. I
The
think
entire thing is watching
Dad.
David Cross fall down stairs of like the Empire State Building. That's how cringe it is. It's amazing. Like,
but the
my
thing is
favorite-
with cringe guy, like, is that actually like a scene where he's falling downstairs and
Well,
shit?
no.
Okay.
I'm just that's what
like
it's
socially like awkward and fucking, and that's the
There's-
worst. So it's like when it's a socially awkward
My
just
favorite
gathering,
scene-
and it's like, oh
Nervous
god.
laugh.
My favorite scene is when he goes to like this museum in England, and he accidentally joins the deaf group for the tour. So he starts pretending to be deaf, but he's doing like that deaf voice where he's like, I don't know what you're saying.
My God.
Oh.
It's
my
like the
God.
entire time you're watching it, you're like, oh no.
So the In-Betweeners is kind of cringeworthy too. One like it's 4 kids and they're in a car and they're going to London for the first time, and one of them's an asshole and he like lowers the window.
I think they're all assholes.
And there's like this continuing joke where earlier in the episode he screamed at like people. It's British, so he screamed like bus wankers at some people waiting for the bus, and they drove off. But like he did the same in London, but there's traffic, so they go like a couple feet away and they're stuck in traffic. So some of the people from the bus stop start walking towards them, and it reminded me of what happened to us on 19.
Oh God! Take off that shirt, you asshole!
He screamed at someone wearing a Vans shirt, like "Get a new shirt," and then he drives up.
Because they were wearing that Indian head one, and I think that I don't like it.
And we drove up. We drove up, and we're at a red light, and the guy's on a skateboard gets off and starts walking towards us.
So we get to the 2010s.
Yeah.
And the big ones. There's only like 5. You got Archer and Louie in 2010.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Archer's great because it pulls a lot of what like Arrested Development is. Of like they have like funny based jokes that they'll like reference back to, like, and that's how you get ants, and like just all of these like little things that are fucking hilarious.
Are we not saying?
Are we not going to talk about this? It was like or
Are
like
we
whenever
not saying phrasing anymore?
and then like
imagine watching like a newish episode of Archer without ever watching Archer before.
God, that'd be so weird. It's like
It's
making
like
Quentin watching the season 4 of Arrested Development, and he's like, Arrested Development sucks. I don't get why you guys like this show. It's like, no, you gotta watch the first 3.
I made him watch them.
And then you got Workaholics in 2011, which is like one of the popular like stoner sitcoms.
I remember that being like really big with us
when it came out.
and then it like really quickly died off.
Yeah.
And now we don't even talk
Like
about it
I go back
anymore.
to it every once in a while, and it's actually still really funny.
I haven't watched it since like the episode where they're camping in the office and they all take shrooms.
Yeah, that's like the second episode or something.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
They're on the top.
And then that episode was fucking weird.
And then 2015, you got great ones. Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
And
I
Master
can
of
relate
None.
to that one.
And a really great one, New Muppets.
What was the second one that you said?
Master of None.
Oh, right.
Which
I
is
still need to watch
Aziz
that.
Ansari's new show, which was fucking awesome.
Fucking fresh
Some
off
really
the boat.
great sitcoms like Jessica
good.
Jones.
But yeah, Fresh Off the Boat is fucking great. Like there was
Romero.
like a pit where it was like, oh,
It was hard to
You
watch
mean
first
one
season.
episode?
yeah, no, there's like the first like 3 episodes of season 2 were like,
Yeah.
you got off
It
your
picked-
rocker, but then it picked back
It
up.
picked up and it got like,
When they brought Shaq into it, you're just like, all right.
it's always
I finally
Shaq.
watched that episode with
Shaquille.
DMX. I was like,
I prefer to be
yes.
called Oral 101.
I like to have this game when I watch the show when it's when it shows the mom character doing something very like
Asian.
Asian American. I'll be like, oh, my mom's done that. My mom's done that.
Whenever
But
something
does your
happens, I
mom
look over to
enjoy
Alyssa
the
and I'm like,
wonderful meat at Cattleman's Ranch?